كَلَّا بَلْ تُكَذِّبُونَ بِالدِّينِ. Certainly not, you in fact deny reward and punishment. The word kalla, or certainly not, is meant to refute the doubts and objections which the disbelievers would raise against the day of judgment. These doubts and objections have been negated in the earlier verses through the attributes of God found in the creation of man. After presenting them, these argument mongers are chided and told that all their doubts and objections are baseless. They are artificial, and in reality they do not want to believe in reward and punishment. For this reason, they are raising such baseless doubts as how is it possible for people to be recreated after death? The fact of the matter is that if reward and punishment are a requisite of intellect, human nature, justice, as well as of the attributes of God's mercy and wisdom, how is it difficult for God to recreate man? Here it should be kept in mind that at times a person wants to refute something, but since he does not find any possibility for this, he starts raising irrelevant questions so that the door to doubt and distrust is opened. The disbelievers of the Quraysh found themselves in such a situation. They knew that denying reward and punishment would be denying something obvious. However, they did not want to accept and acknowledge it too. For this reason, they would invent baseless doubts and try to give the false impression that they had certain reasons on the basis of which they were rejecting the warnings of the Qur'an. وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Whereas appointed over you are guardians, noble scribes. They know what you do. These verses also relate to the reprimand found in the previous verse, and as well as to the baseless objection the disbelievers would raise to deny accountability in the hereafter. They are told that they must not remain in the misconception that no one can be aware of all their open and hidden deeds in order to hold them accountable one day for them. The Almighty has appointed guardians on each and every person who are noting down each and every word and deed that emanates from Him. These honorable guardians listen to and know whatever people say and do. The attribute kiram, or noble, for the angels is meant to remind us that on whatever duty they are deputed, they carry it out with full diligence, responsibility, and impartiality. They are not negligent in their duty, nor irresponsible and careless in any manner. They do not procrastinate, nor show feebleness. They also cannot be cajoled and pressurized and lured into partiality. In the words يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, or they know what you do, only deeds are referred to. However, in Surah Qaf it is said مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ, or each word he says shall be noted down by a vigilant guardian. Surah number 50, verse 18. It is further elaborated in Surah Qaf that these angels are 2 in number and guard a person from his right and from his left. Certain narratives also speak of their division in labor. One of them writes the virtues of a person and the other his vices. إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ لَفِي نَعِيمٍ وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارَ لَفِي جَحِيمٍ. Indeed, the righteous shall dwell in bliss, and the wretched ones shall be in hell. Stated in these verses is the consequence of the thoroughness and diligence of the Almighty mentioned earlier. This diligence shows that the Almighty will not deal with the righteous and the wrongdoers in the same manner. He will bless the former with paradise and throw the latter into hell. People who think that there is only this worldly life and after this there is no life or death are foolish. Equally naive are those who dream that if ever there is going to be life after death, they will be able to attain even more luxuries of life at that time with the help of the intercession of their deities. The Creator of this world is not insensitive to vice and virtue, and hence will not deal with the pious and the impious in the same manner. He will necessarily distinguish between the two and will reward or punish each according to his deeds. If this does not happen, it will mean that the righteous and the wrongdoers are alike in His sight, and that His world is a place in which justice and fairness have no place. يَصْلَوْنَهَا يَوْمَ الدِّينِ وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا بِغَائِبِينَ. They will enter it on the day of judgment, and then will never leave it. The implication is that instead of living in dreams, people should face the reality. On the day of judgment, all the wretched will be in hell, and then they will never be able to leave it. The verse, وَمَا هُمْ عَنْهَا بِغَائِبِينَ, and they will never be able to disappear from it, is of the same meaning as that of the verse, خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا, or they will remain in it forever, which occurs at many places in the Qur'an. The implication is that if someone thinks that in case he does not like the place, he will find a way out to escape from it, then he should do away with this conjecture. People will never be able to come out of it once they enter it. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ ثُمَّ مَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. And what have you understood what the day of judgment is? Speak up. What have you understood what the day of judgment is? This question is meant to explain the grandeur and majesty of the day of judgment, and its repetition actually increases its awe. The singular address is not meant for the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It is for the same people as were addressed in an earlier verse, that is, مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. What is it that has deceived you about your beneficent Lord, and those subsequent to it? I have already explained at many places in this tafsir the eloquence found in addressing plural entities in the singular. يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِنَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَالْأَمْرُ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلَّهِ. On that day, no soul will be able to do anything for another. The matter on that day will entirely be in the hands of God. Since the question raised in the previous verse was not meant to elicit an answer, but to only portray the dread and the horror of that day, so without waiting for any response from the addressees, this final verse itself asserts the answer. On that day, no one would be of any benefit to any other. All deities which were regarded to be partners of God and intercessors to Him, and which were worshipped in the hope that they would be able to save people from the grasp of God, would have no power on that day. With the grace of God, I now come to the end of this surah's tafsir. Falhamdulillahi ala ihsani, or gratitude be to God for His favors. Rahmanabad, 29th July 1979 AD, 4th Ramadan al-Mubarak, 1399 AH.